The last couple episodes were super important because they got us really the end game stuff we need. You saw as I ran past there, shulker boxes. We have shulker boxes, and we also have Elytra. And to use these things, or to use the Elytra specifically, we need this. We need rockets, which I have some. That's good, right? We have some rockets to use. We can fly around and, you know, get around places a whole lot easier and quicker. And this will really help us be more efficient in the world. But rockets aren't exactly like the easiest thing in the world to get. They require 2 ingredients. One of those ingredients we get from our micro sugarcane farm here that we built a little while back, and that is sugarcane, which turns into paper. So this one, check. We're good with this one. Maybe we make a bigger, like fancier sugarcane farm later, but for now, like this is exactly what we need. That's going to serve the purpose quite nicely. But there's another material we need, which we can't get easy, and that is gunpowder. Gunpowder is, as you may have saw, like, what was it, last episode? I think it was last episode. I had to get it by killing creepers and ghasts, and it actually took quite a while just to get a stack of it, to make a few stacks of rockets. And in a world where you play a lot, that goes kind of quick. So we need to create a farm to get this. We need a farm, and we're going to make a farm. It's going to kill creepers for us. It's going to be a general mob farm. A slime's going to come after me. Go away. So we're going to make a general mob farm. It's going to help us out. And I have a really good design for a general mob farm that I want to use. And it's going to require that we have a lot of this stuff behind us, a whole lot of scaffolding. By a lot, I mean that we need probably about 25, 26 stacks of scaffolding. So we need to go get the materials for that. And how do you make scaffolding? Bamboo and string. Also, may I add, baby slime, baby slime, So on the first thing we need, bamboo. This was kind of easy for me. I have a bamboo forest like right across from my base there. So I can just come over here and just chop, chop, chop. And it'll take me no time to get about, oh, hello. Do you want some bamboo? You want some bamboo? There you go. Good boy. You're a good boy. Oh, he likes the bamboo. Okay. I like this guy. Hopefully he doesn't go anywhere now. Maybe we need to find a way to get him back to base. I don't know. I like him. But we can get all of our bamboo here, and we're going to need about 27 stacks of it. So we're just going to fill up a shulker box full of bamboo. If you don't have a bamboo forest nearby, there's another way that you can get this, which leads me back to our sugarcane farm that we just looked at a second ago. This micro farm, you can also do bamboo on it. So if you want to go make this farm, it does not require the water that you see used in that episode. If I were to put bamboo right there instead of the sugarcane, it's going to work in the same way. So if you don't have a bamboo forest close by, go ahead and make yourself a little micro farm and put bamboo in it, and you'll have enough bamboo in no time, as long as you have means to get a lot of bone meal. Now, the other thing we need is a lot of string, and a lot of string is also not super easy to come by. If you already have a general mob farm, you have a lot of string, but then we need the string to make the general mob farm. So in my case, I did find a spider spawner, and we built this thing out on stream. So go back and find the stream. I'll try to remember to link it up in the top right-hand corner of the screen for you guys right now. But we did a very simple spider spawner farm. It's right here. And really, to explain it, all it is a hole that goes 9 blocks down. It is 4 blocks around the spawner there. And we just simply put 9 magma blocks in the middle, and then a water stream that runs here. Can I get up here any better, any easier? So it's just a water stream on each side there, 9 magma blocks in the middle, a hopper minecart underneath that center magma block, because all of the drops, all the items are going to get pushed to that. And then that just leads to a little line of hoppers that takes us into this chest right here. That made getting the string super easy, which we can now use to make ourselves a whole bunch of scaffolding. Now, location for this is somewhat important. Because you need to make sure you put it in a good area that's going to fit what your goals are. And that's because this farm, it's going to float up in the air. Depending on what simulation distance you play on, which we'll talk about in a few moments, it may float up a little high in the air, or it might float up really high in the air. And for me, my base, it's not really going to fit within any themes that I'm going to do in my base, which is right over the mountaintop there. So I want to keep it far enough away from my base to where I can't see it, regardless of where I build, either along this mountain or, of course, inside of the cave, which I wouldn't have to worry about seeing it there. This is the fish farm that Blue Jay and I had built. So I was kind of thinking we'd go out just a little bit further than this and probably build it out here. And I'm going to choose to build it over top of the ocean because that's just typically a good place to build hanging flying farms. That way, if you fall down or something crazy happens, you're not going to go splat on the ground. Also, it gives you a nice level like base to kind of start off of and build up from, and there's less variables to consider. So let's fly over. I mentioned simulation distance a minute ago. Simulation distance is how far away the game will continue to do functions such as spawn or despawn mobs or run redstone and that sort of thing. And by default on Bedrock Edition, the simulation distance is 4, although you can turn it up higher, especially on devices like a PC, an Xbox, or other console, even the Switch, even the Switch being the most limited console that can play on Bedrock Edition, you can even turn it up to simulation distance 6 there. And even on our world here, we actually have simulation distance maxed out at 12. But since most of you will likely be on simulation distance 4, I'm going to make sure that I include instructions for what to do with that too. So simulation distance 4, mods can only spawn between 25 and 44 blocks away from you, the player. Anything further than 44 blocks away, they will instantly despawn. So we don't need to worry about distances beyond 44 blocks. So whether you're going to be using the ground or the ocean, you want to be 44 blocks away from anything that is spawnable. So in this case, if you're going to be on the ground, you want to be 44 blocks from like the highest point in the near area. So like maybe up there, right? If it's the water, 44 blocks up from the surface of the water is going to be what you're going to do. Now for me, being on simulation distance 12, we have the ability to spawn mobs in the full spawning radius. So I'm actually going to need to go 128 blocks up. So whether you're doing the 44 blocks or the 128 blocks, pick your location, pillar up, and make a platform. I'm really just going to plot myself somewhere out in the middle down here. It's actually not a bad location too, because there's a guardian temple, what is it called? A monument, a guardian monument right there. So if we're going to make a guardian farm at some point, which we probably will, we're going to be close by to our mob farm too. Now, once you're at the height that you need to be in, this is going to be kind of our ground floor. Our storage system is actually going to end up sitting directly below the killing system of the farm. So this is going to be where we actually end up putting the storage system eventually, but we're going to hit that part last. So just a little platform just to land on or whatever is fine here for now. What we need to do now is give ourselves enough room to be able to build our storage system down below. So I think about 10 blocks will probably be okay. And maybe I'll use some of the scaffolding here just so it's a little bit easier to get up and down. And I think about 10 blocks up will be good. Okay, now this platform that we're building right here, this is going to be the killing floor. So it doesn't really necessarily matter how big we make this right now. I'm just going to give us enough room to kind of work. So I don't know, maybe about like a 7x7 or 9x9 platform here, just to have room to, you know, stretch our legs a little bit, not fall off the edge, set down some shulker boxes, that sort of thing. And now from here is where we need to work our way up to that spawnable area. So mobs can spawn starting 25 blocks away from the player. The first 25 block radius around the player, mobs can't spawn. It's kind of like a safe zone, right? But once you go beyond that, is when mobs can spawn. Again, if you're on simulation distance 4, that distance is going to be 25 blocks to 44 blocks. Whereas if you play on simulation distance 12, like myself, mobs can spawn up to a total of 128 blocks away. So what we want to do is we want to make the first spawning floor up here the 25 blocks away from where we're standing. That way we get the optimal amount of mobs spawning, all of the spawning floors available for mobs to spawn on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me get a block out of here that we're going to use for our floor. Give me just a couple moments to get some shulker boxes out and get prepared. Okay, so 25 blocks up we go. And once up here, we're going to make a little square just like this out of this area. And actually, we're going to go through and border that square just like this. So now we have a 4x4 platform, but we don't need that middle square. We're going to knock that out because this is going to be our drop chute. This is where mobs are going to drop down to eventually get killed by our Trident killer. Now, from this little square that we have here, we need to go out 8 blocks in each direction, counting the square that we're standing on. And then we're going to make a big platform out of that. So go 8 blocks this way, this way, this way, and this way, counting the block that you're standing on. So 1, 2, 3, 7, 8. Now do that a whole lot of times. And once you have this full floor, which you should have is, again, the center square, and then a 8-block, like in each direction, like square platform, basically, right? And the next thing we need to do is we need to fill this entire platform with scaffolding. And I'll explain how the scaffolding trick works and why you want to use it here in a few moments. But this is where we use our scaffolding. You can see exactly why we have so much of it. Okay, now you have the entire floor covered in scaffolding. But to make things a little bit easier for you, what you're going to need to do, take out the 4 blocks in each one of the corners. Now we need to make ourselves a little lip around here, just a little border around the outside. So we'll go ahead, we'll place a solid block on the outside. Make sure it's a solid block. It cannot be something that's going to let light through. So either normal solid blocks will work fine, or if you want to use tinted glass will work as well. And keep in mind, I'm saying tinted glass, not stained glass. Those are 2 different things. Tinted glass is the one made from amethyst shards that will not allow light to pass through, whereas stained glass is the one that just changes the color of regular glass and otherwise works just like regular glass does. And also these corners that I had you carve out, fill those in too. So now we're going to need to fill all of these side walls with water. We're going to need to make ourselves a water source because when we place water over top of the scaffolding, for whatever reason, the game doesn't want to make that an infinite water source. So I think we could just pretty easily make one right here, maybe. There we go. So we can make ourselves a little infinite water source right here, a little well, so to speak, and we can go through and now we can start placing water directly across here. And what it's going to end up doing is flowing water straight into that little center area. Okay, so now that we've gotten ourselves to this point, let's talk about how this farm actually works. So it has water on the top and scaffolding on the bottom. And what this is actually going to end up doing is allow mobs to spawn in, but immediately start moving those mobs out of the farm, which on Bedrock Edition is super important because our mob spawn rates are incredibly low compared to Java Edition. So the only way that we can have any sort of like decent like semblance of drops from a mob farm is to immediately get the mobs off the spawning platform and kill them. That way new mobs can spawn in because we have mob caps, we have density check areas, and all these different things that really hinder our ability to get mobs really fast. So why is the scaffolding here? Because mobs, they'll actually spawn inside the scaffolding. Like their feet can spawn in the scaffolding with their heads spawning in the water. Scaffolding is the only thing that we have that can do this. You can't use buttons or signs or anything like that because all those things will block the spawns altogether, but the scaffolding will work. So with having this set up, mobs will spawn in around this platform. They'll move themselves to the center. They'll drop down where eventually we'll make a kill chamber for them to die. And we can make this thing multi-layered, right? So what we can do is we can just have, I don't want this to be on the outside because I'm going to keep the outside, the deep slate bricks, just for aesthetic purposes. Even though I'm not like decorating this thing, I still want the consistency and look in some manner. But what we can do is now we can fill in above that second block level. So at the 3rd block height, right above the heads of where mobs would spawn, we can go ahead and fill in with any sort of solid block. We don't want to use half slabs or glass or any non-solid block. We want to use a solid block here. And then we're just going to simply make what is going to be a ceiling to this level and what will be the floor of our next level. Meaning that once we get this in, the same thing we did here, we're going to do 4 more times for a total of 5 layers. This bottom one being the first, and then 2, 3, 4, and then a top layer. And all of these layers are going to be the exact same from this first layer, except the ceiling of the final layer up top, which I'll show you guys here in a few moments. I may actually personally do more than 5 layers because I'm on simulation distance 12, so I can do more than 5. If you're on simulation distance 4, you have to only do 5 layers. You cannot do more than that. That'll push the layers outside of the spawning sphere, at which point you're adding layers that aren't going to do anything at all. Also, I'm probably going to do all these other layers on live stream. So if you want to catch me chit-chatting with the stream while I build all the other layers and just kind of see that repetitive nature of going through and building them all, then I suggest you go and watch the video of the live stream, which will be up by the time you see this video. Oh, also, I forgot to show one thing. Before we go to the stream, I was sitting here filling in the rest of this route before I stream. These blocks on the interior, this, and then these ones that I can't really easily get to, that and that. There we go. all of those blocks, those can go. Those do not need to be there. They'll actually kind of hold up your like mobs dropping out of this area. So we're going to get rid of those. They're gone. All right, I'm here on stream with everybody right now. Streamland, say hi to YouTube Land. YouTube Land, say hi to Streamland. And we got to the point where we've done 5 layers. I decided to not add on more than 5. Last season I did 10. And what I found out last season was that I AFK'd the farm like 3 times and I had more than I needed, and I never needed to AFK there again. So instead of spending a whole bunch of time gathering material and building another 5 layers just to only sit at the farm like a few times, I'm instead just going to leave it at the 5 layers, and we'll just AFK here a little bit longer. That's fine. But we're at the point of putting a roof on, and we've taken amethyst shards, combined them with glass to make tinted glass. Tinted glass was added to 1.17, and it looks like glass, but it acts like a full-size block in regards to the lighting that it blocks. So it kind of like shares like different aspects of both. So by putting this down, we're going to be keeping any sort of mobs from being able to spawn in here. So what it's going to do is make the area completely dark. That way mobs can spawn in, but it's not going to block surface spawns, meaning that we can still have, like, we'll still get surface cap mobs spawning in here. And then all the other 4 layers down below will still be cave cap mobs. And we didn't really talk about that much in this episode. There's a difference between surface cap and cave cap. And basically, to like have your farm be as like optimal as possible, you want to be getting both. The top level is only going to get the surface spawns, and all the other levels are going to get the cave spawns. So that's what we're achieving by adding this on. And hopefully I have enough of it to finish. It's going to be cutting close. I might have to go and find some more amethyst shards somewhere though. Okay, so next thing we need to do is we need to make our drop chamber, and we need to mark out exactly where it's going to like fall to. It's going to be these 4 blocks in the center, right? So if I stand right here, that should mean it's these 2, these 2, these 2, and these 2, I think. Yeah, that looks right. And what we're going to do is we need to actually start from the top here. So I'm just going to place down a bunch of scaffolding, take us up, and we'll probably end up changing this hole a little bit once we get to the very top here. But for now, just for now, what we're going to do is we're going to, here, let's do this. Let's do, why can't I place a block there? That was weird. We're just going to give ourselves, oops, a couple block like gap, like right here. Look, it won't let me place there again. That was really weird. 2 is 2 enough? Sure, 2 should be fine. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to place campfires going straight down to the very bottom. And then once you place the campfires, you could put them out by clicking on them with a shovel, just like this. Click on them with the shovel, it'll put them out. We don't need them to be lit. The reason why we're using campfires is because spiders will actually not climb campfires. They will climb other blocks. Some people recommend using magma blocks. They are a decent, cheap alternative, but from my experience, they do not stop spiders 100% from climbing. If the spider takes damage from, say, like the Trident killer and doesn't die, they may start actually climbing up the magma blocks, because the magma blocks won't damage them. I mean, neither do these either, but especially when you put them out. But the spiders, for whatever reason, they can't climb the campfires. So I 100% recommend campfires. It's just going to cost you some logs, some sticks, and some coal or charcoal. So go ahead, make yourself a bunch of campfires. It's going to take a decent amount. I don't even know if I have enough here, to be honest. I guess we'll find out here shortly. And just take yourself all the way down till you reach about 2 blocks above the ground level there. Okay, so now we have the drop chamber going all the way down. It stops 2 below this and stops 2 above the ground level down there where they're going to fall to. And what we need to do is we need to take this area, which mobs can also fall, and we need to actually filter mobs into just the 2x2, right? Because right now, if a mob were to fall, they could fall from right there and fall right on top of this. So we need something to push them inwards. Now, what I like to do in this particular type of situation is I like to kind of stage some water out from the area instead of just trying to fill the area with water. I'm going to show you what I mean here. If you give me just a moment. Actually, I don't need this one, I don't think. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to put a campfire here, 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 and just kind of like outline this whole area right here with campfires. Just at this like just at this one level. And then you'll see me always put the fires out maybe some of you will ask, do I have to put the fires out? You do want to, because all the smoke from them, it does cause some video lag. It doesn't give you any benefit to leave them lit, whereas you do get that small benefit of getting rid of the fire because you don't have the lag. Okay, so now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to put some solid blocks here, 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 and then I'm going to want to kind of surround this area right here with solid blocks as well. And actually, we're going to end up doing this with a lot of area. I need more blocks because one of the things that we need to do is make sure there's no light that can get in through up here, because it'll block some of the spawns in this area. So we're going to end up encasing this entire like top section here in solid blocks anyways. So go ahead, make sure you have a few stacks of blocks available to use for this particular portion. And there's an Enderman here. All right, let me explain this a little bit better. These blocks right here, the polished deep slate, we're going to sit, we're going to sit water on top of these blocks. That water is going to flow inwards, which means that we need to trap that water from flowing anywhere other than inside. So what I'm going to do is, let me just take a different block here. I'm going to use these deep slate bricks. I think I'm just going to like bring these straight down, just like this, and block all sides of this polished deep slate. Okay, so now all sides of that are blocked. I'm going to break myself in here. I'm going to have to replace these campfires just to break ourselves in. Let's just make ourselves a little floor to work from. And then I don't want water to actually flow down the hole. So what I'm going to do is pop out this block right here. And we're just going to take some signs and put some signs right here at the campfire level on both sides. If I can get it on both sides here, let me kind of cross over here, pop that out, sign and sign. So now what I can do is I can take my water buckets that I have here and put one here, put one here, put one here and here, and finally on the fourth side right there. So now what'll happen is mobs will fall down and they'll immediately move down through here. They'll drop right down through and fall down and start to go all the way down to the bottom of the drop chute. And then I put signs on top of those signs as well. So now mobs that fall straight down, they'll just go straight down. Ones that do hit this side, they'll just flow over. They won't have water to get trapped on yet. We do want them to get trapped on some water on the way down though, because if they fall from this height, they're going to instantly die. We don't want them to instantly die. We want them to get hung up a little bit. So one last thing that I can do here, and I think this is going to be a little bit difficult to accomplish, but we're going to try here. I need some more water first. Actually, I don't need more water. One water bucket will be enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come down. Let's see, from that level, we know this is 25 blocks up. So that means that's 24. This is 23, 22, 21, and 20. I think 20 blocks sounds pretty good. So let's go ahead. Let's block this area below that spot right there with some signs. And I'm kind of in the way right now. Oh, right here. Perfect. Let's put a sign right here. Nope, not right there. I could just place it against this sign. It'll work the same. Okay. And I need to put water at this level right here. If I click on the campfire, it'll actually waterlog the campfire. So instead, I'm going to put a sign there. I'm going to waterlog that sign, and then I'll just knock that sign out. So now that's a waterlog spot. So now we actually have an area where the mobs, they're going to drop. They're going to temporarily pass through this water. What it'll do is it'll take away any fall damage they would have had up until this point, meaning that now it's going to count as like a 19 or so block drop going down there, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want to happen. And can I place this? And it doesn't want me to place this. Why can I not place anything there? Okay, hopefully the drop chute made sense to you guys, because they're really hard to explain. And hopefully between looking at it and figuring it out, or just knowing how they work, you were able to follow along. One annoyance I found along the way, and I kind of forget this about campfires sometimes, is you can't place a campfire on top of another campfire. Now, you can place one underneath and work your way down, but if you like knock out this campfire right here as an example and try to place a new one down, even if you click from the bottom of this block, this campfire, or like try to attach it to a side block, since there's a campfire under it, it won't place. So if you're having trouble placing the campfires, that's why. I had to go through and take out most of the one row and place them from the top down again, just to kind of get this whole thing to work. And I wanted to share that experience with everybody because it was extremely annoying and it took me a few minutes to figure out. But now that I've kind of worked my way back up, I can go through, I can place that water that I wanted to place down, knock out that sign right there. And now we have our drop chute complete, and it's time to build the Trident killer. And actually, I just decided one of the things I want to use for my Trident killer is going to be honey blocks, because it'll keep mobs from like jumping up and down and not getting hit by the Trident. So let's go get some honey blocks real quick. Bring a campfire with you, get some shears, find somewhere where you may have bees, a bee's nest, and grab yourself some honeycomb. Okay, so now it's time to make the Trident killer. And to start the Trident killer, what we need to do is we need to place a hopper that can face in any direction, but primarily it's going to be whatever direction your storage system is going to be. So in this case, I've come down below. I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3 blocks, and we'll place a hopper just facing to any particular side, just like that. On top of that hopper, we will place a rail. On top of that rail, we will place a hopper minecart. And then we can just box in that hopper minecart so it can't go anywhere, just like that. And we can cover the top over with our honey blocks like so. Okay, now it's time to set up the Trident killer, which these things are incredibly easy to set up. What we're going to do is we're going to take pistons and we are going to place them in a circular like fashion around here. One here, one here, one here, and one here. If you don't know how Trident killers work, these pistons will eventually be firing in a circle-like pattern, moving a Trident around the floor area here, causing the Trident to collide with the mobs that stand on top of the honey blocks here and killing them. And the cool thing about Trident killers is they count as a player kill. So we get the looting effect if we have a looting sword in our hand, we get experience points, we get all the drops. It's pretty awesome. All right, now what we are going to do is we're going to knock out all of the blocks around the pistons, except for the blocks that the pistons sit on will be perfectly fine. And what we need to do is we need to make our observers look in this direction, which is going to be kind of difficult. I probably need to move blocks out the way to do it. Yeah, we need to face them. So the face is looking in this direction and the butt is facing in this direction and sending a redstone signal here. If you don't know, the way an observer works is it looks for something to happen. And when something happens, it says, oh, redstone signal, and poops it out. So place this down, poops out the redstone signal, which is perfect. So we just need to place observer and rail all the way around, except for one corner is not going to have the rail. Now, instead of a rail on one of these corners, we're actually going to use a piece of redstone dust instead. And there's a specific reason why. Because when we have the redstone dust down instead of the rails work faster, like they update quicker. So it makes this whole thing cycle incredibly fast. The one problem with doing that is that spiders are not a single block height. They are like, or single block, I guess, wide. So if these pistons are moving too fast and a spider happens to land on top of a piston, they kind of just get stuck on top of the pistons. So what you can do is put a piece of redstone dust down in one spot, which updates a little bit slower. And it adds just enough of a delay to where the spider can fall down into the system again without getting caught up and like infinitely being stuck on top. So it's a little minor detail, but it helps out a lot. And it also, did I bring, I think I brought a lever. A lever, there we go. A lever is going to be what you need to turn the system on and off. And you could turn it off at any one of the corners, basically. Just for now, I might change where it goes. I'm going to put this down. That's going to turn the system on. It's going to stay on unless we power like one of these rails or the piece of redstone dust. So now that we have like this rail power, the whole system stays turned off, which is perfect. That's what we want. And now we need to kind of border around this area to make sure that mobs get trapped in here, don't get stuck, can't get out, etc. Okay, so I have surrounded the entire area with one layer of blocks. I'm going to tell you that that's probably not going to be enough because sometimes the pistons, they can push mobs through. So first, I'm using solid blocks. And I'm going to do that everywhere except this one location right here because this is where I'm going to be able to like stand and get XP from. But pretty much everywhere else, we're going to like surround everything with a double layer of blocks all the way around. That way we don't have to worry about any potential mobs glitching through and taking up our mob cap, or maybe killing us or blowing us up or something crazy like that. So a double layer just like this should definitely do the trick. I'll probably even just take it like one layer or one level higher too, just to give that extra comfort of knowing I don't have to worry about mobs coming through. And now with the Trident killer done, I want to go ahead. I'm just going to close off the rest of this tube. It doesn't need to be open. You're going to at least want to close it off, maybe going downwards. I don't know, maybe like 7 or 8 blocks from up there, just to make sure that no light can get in. But I think just for like aesthetic purposes for me, I'm just going to close the whole thing off. I don't really need to see in there for any reason. Okay, now we have the whole thing taken care of. Again, we have the one glass with a top half slab here. That way we can let the XP kind of drain out. And I got my lever there. I've covered the whole tunnel. Really, we only have a couple steps to go. Step number 1 is we need to get some tridents in here. I could just kind of like back up here and hopefully throw them a little bit better than that. Let's try that again, shall we? You know what? Let's just get this block out the way. Can you just move? Thank you. Let's get our tridents inside. All you gotta do is just throw them. I'm gonna put 3 in there because it's going to allow them to hit mobs a little bit more frequently and should kill them a little bit faster when we have multiple mobs in the chamber. Let's just turn things on, make sure everything's functioning. It is. You can hear the tridents moving around. Perfect. Now, all I should need to do at this point is go up top and then knock out those bottom blocks that are in the way. And I can reach almost all those blocks from this one spot right here. So I think we're just going to knock them out and really just hopefully we don't get blown up by a creeper. We see a creeper, we'll back up and hopefully not like set the whole thing off. Oh gosh, back up, back up. Oh. Knock that down. Okay. Oh, please don't blow up. Don't blow up. Okay, I think we're okay. And I just need to make my way to the other side. Which should mean take out this corner block. Can I see? Oh gosh, knock this out, knock this out. And I think we're good. Now these guys, they can die. Oh yeah, look at it go, look at it go. Kill them all, the XP points are coming in, the mobs are dying. And those drops, unfortunately, they don't really have anywhere to go right now because we haven't set up. Oh, look at all that XP, that was nice. Let's go up top and take a quick look. Okay, now we just need to build an item filter and storage system area. I have an episode on how to build one of those. I did it right after the fish farm. So I'm just going to do that same system here. Of course, just with all the drops that we get from the mobs here from the mob farm. So if you want to know how to make it, go back and watch that video. Houston, we have a problem. Doesn't look like honey blocks work here like I thought they would, because I think they've sunk down into the blocks or gotten stuck somewhere. So now our mobs aren't dying. So hopefully you haven't made the Trident killer yet, because you need to take the honey blocks out and just put like regular solid blocks in. I'm going to try to do that now. And the most important port of any storage system, sub-to-proud diamonds. They're known to make your farm about 176% more efficient, guaranteed. Okay, I have found one inefficiency that I want to fix on this. I had this whole ring right here as the scaffolding. We're going to replace that. We're going to replace that with signs. Now, unfortunately, signs, they can't attach to the side of scaffolding. That's fine. All you have to do is attach to one of the blocks below for one of them, and then put that one on top of that one. And then from there, it's not going to look pretty, but it doesn't really necessarily need to. We'll just, oh gosh. We'll just go ahead and we'll place signs around the edge just like this. And let me light things up a little bit. As you can see, this is what you end up with. You have signs going all the way around. Also, I have one more thing to change, because I'm still noticing some spiders getting stuck in here. So I've brought some more signs with me, and we're going to add just a couple more. So right now we have like water flows over top of these signs right here. What we're going to do is the signs on the 4 sides. So here, oh gosh, I really don't want to fall down there, because that's going to be bad. Here and all 4 sides, we're going to get rid of that water, and also go ahead and fill in the corners as well. Basically what we've done is we've modified this from a 2x2 drop chute to a 4x4 drop chute. I should have probably started this way, to be totally honest, but it's one of those things when you're playing in survival, you design it, you build it in survival, you kind of live and you learn a little bit. So hopefully this helps everybody out. A 4x4 drop chute is going to work better than the 2x2. And then they get filtered into the 2x2 at the bottom, the chute, the actual drop chute at the end. And I think I finally got everything done. After the modifications here, we do have all the mobs dropping down. The spiders sometimes get hung up for a brief moment, but otherwise they do work their way down. And this is kind of an attestament to sometimes when you do things in survival, even if you have a plan, not everything works according to plan, which is why we had to go through and make some changes with adding the signs on the edge and that sort of thing. All of our mobs that are now down in here, flip the switch, they all die absolutely perfectly, which is great. And we have our storage system set up without any sort of real organization, but we have a few rows for gunpowder, for bones, for rotten flesh, string, spider eyes, and a few for arrows as well to collect. And although I haven't hooked it up to like a lava, like to go down into lava, I've added in a non-stackable item sorter that'll basically take any non-stackable items like the ones you see down there on the ground, and it will get rid of them. It's actually, without going to it in full detail, they work the exact same way that normal item sorters do. You just raise it up one block. So do a regular item sorter like you've seen me do in the past episodes, raise it up by one block, and then only the non-stackable items will go through it. And then you can have them go down into a dropper system, kind of like this, and it will shoot the items out, and you can shoot them into lava or into a cactus or something to get rid of them. And I think that's going to do it for today's episode. I appreciate everybody hanging out. This was a fun one, a little bit of troubleshooting along the way, but overall it's worked pretty good. We already have like 4.5 or 5 rows of a double chest full of gunpowder. So that's awesome. And if you enjoyed the video, if you liked the farm, go ahead and click the like button. Consider clicking that subscribe button as well. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.